All right. Well, I'm super excited to have Chris McDonald on the Private Practice Elevation podcast. Welcome to the show, Chris. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. So excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to learn a little bit more about you and what you do. I've seen some of what you do online in the podcast that you have, and specifically helping people with holistic practices. And so I'm super excited just to learn more about all those things. So why don't you just share briefly just a little bit about who you are and what you do
Yeah.
with therapists right now?
I have multiple roles, which requires multiple juggling. So lots of time management.
Yeah.
I have a podcast called the Holistic Counseling Podcast that you mentioned. It's for therapists that want to deepen their knowledge of holistic modalities and also build their practice with confidence. So that's part of what I do, but I'm also a licensed therapist. I have a mini group practice. So I have one person work for me. I'm hiring one other. So that's on the more the clinical front. I'm a clinical supervisor, a yogi, I'm a registered yoga teacher. So part of what I do is integrate yoga into clinical sessions. And that's where I'm moving towards too, is helping therapists with that as well. So there's several things that I've been working on
Yeah,
for
wow.
sure.
Yeah, I'm sure time management is very important for
Yes,
all those
it
things
is.
and juggling so many things. Well, I want to hear really, I'd love to, we kind of just mentioned before we hit record here,
Yes.
I'd love to just kind of dive into your story a
Yeah.
little bit because I think we learn so much from story, and especially from people who are building things that we want to build when it comes to business building. I know for
Hmm.
myself, I love listening to podcasts where people share about this thing that they created and how they built this business, and lessons learned, failures, ups, downs, all those things we learned so much from. So why don't you just take us back a little bit
Sure.
to you starting your practice? You said
Yeah.
well, I don't want to put words in your mouth. You said you have a mini online
Mini group.
practice, mini group
Yeah.
practice.
Yes.
Were you more solo before that? Why don't you take us back to
Well,
kind of your
yes.
journey?
Well, this is interesting because it is 2023. So my husband had mentioned this the other day. He's like, "Oh my gosh, so 10 years ago I left the school system. I was a school counselor
Okay.
and I was getting so burned out and just getting to that age. I'm a little older now. And I did not want to put up with people's crap anymore and was not a yes person. I would challenge things. Is this best for the kids? And
Hmm.
administration didn't like me too much. And so I got tired of always pushing, advocating, just got exhausted
Yeah.
and just said, I had gotten my licensure a few years before and I was like, I'm just gonna my goal was to actually work at an agency to learn more about what is it like, how are these run? Because I
Hmm.
wanted to build a private practice. So I actually did get my feet wet and went into agency work for a few years and learned a little bit more about what that would be like. Because in the school system, we can't do therapy, quote unquote. So it's more short term, brief solutions counseling.
Hmm.
And I know I've always been more clinical and wanting to do more therapy, I guess you could say. So that's how I kind of started and started to do some video counseling and then got my first office space in 2015. So I've been building slow. It's been a slow ride for me. It wasn't one of those success stories you hear about, oh, I was full in 2 months. Nope, I was
Hmm.
not. And it's okay.
Yeah.
I took my time and I developed my biggest thing with marketing is building relationships and with therapists in the community. And if there's anything I can tell people that may be looking to build a practice, that is your number one way to help yourself and find people who are similar to you, which
Hmm.
might sound counterintuitive, but I found that, we would refer to each other, so help each other out and find these
Yeah.
allies that, and of course, most therapists are very generous people, helpful people, and we want to help each other. And you got to build some kind of community too, because I did virtual only for a while. I now have an office space 1 day a week just to help my mental health, but just to find connection with other people, I think is just such a core piece of my
Yeah.
private practice.
Yeah.
It's so isolating at
Yeah.
times.
Yeah. And so you started out online, like
Yes.
doing video
Yes.
sessions, like
Before it was popular.
before it was popular. Yeah, that's what I was gonna
Yes.
say. Wow,
Yeah.
that's cool. Tell me a little bit more about that
Yeah.
decision. Like what went
Yeah. The
into
interesting
focusing on
part
that.
is that in the school system, I was called what's called a 10-month employee. So I got paid and worked 10 months and had summers
Yeah.
off, two
Yeah.
months off. So I thought, wouldn't it be cool to be able to do this online, to be able to counsel people online while I have time off? And so
Yeah.
I had researched it and looked into it and got it was called the DCC, Distance Credentialing Counselor, something like that. But now it's not even that. It's board certified telemental health counselor. Anyway, that's what
Mm,
I got at the time I did the research. And once I left the school system, I was like, this would be so cool to connect with people and be able to not have an office space when you're just starting out and you don't have any clients. And to me, it
yeah.
was very scary to go from a W-2 job to shift to a business. Like my family, everybody just, we come from a small town. Nobody started businesses, and
Mm,
I had no role model. I had to figure out all this on my own. There wasn't all these podcasts and all these wonderful resources out there now. So I was taking literally books and looking up books and trying to sort out on YouTube. I had seen some things, but yeah, it was a little rough trying to get the information.
yeah. Wow. Kudos to you for doing
Yes.
that and stepping out like that. Well,
Yeah,
I'm
it was a brave step too,
yeah.
because I was considered a quote unquote state employee. So people are
Mm,
like, "Why are you leaving a full-time state job and you're gonna give up retirement benefits?" You know,
yeah.
you get
Yeah.
all that. But
Yep. Yeah. I hear that. Um, well, tell me a little bit more about, those early stages. You mentioned like connection as being one of the
yes,
big things for marketing. Is that where you really kind of focus your time and you're like, "Ah, okay, I'm going to step out. I'm going to start building this
not
private
initially.
practice."
No.
Okay.
So
What?
that was one of my mistakes that didn't do. So it wasn't until a couple years later that I really started to do the connecting because I didn't know what I
Mm,
was doing.
mm,
I mean, to be honest, I was still trying to sort my way and figure this out. So
yeah.
once I did that, things started to fall into place a little bit more for me. But yeah, initially it was, Psychology Today. I, I had my website. I was trying to work on SEO, those kind of things, and
Hmm.
didn't know if going to doctor's offices was not very beneficial for me. I was trying that old school.
Yeah.
Here, let me bring you a gift basket.
Yeah.
Refer to me, please. So
Yeah. That just sounds exhausting to me.
it really was, and I'm more of a shyer person, so just to walk
Mm,
in somewhere and be like, "Hi." So I've gotten
yeah.
over that a little bit, but I was just mortified and petrified to be like, "Okay, hi, I'm a therapist. Will you
Yeah.
refer to me?"
Yeah, yeah. I think it's so important when it comes to marketing that we kind of find what works for us and what, like our personalities, and that's a journey that I think I have taken myself. And I'm not a huge social media person. I'm active there for more of the making connections with people, but I get kind of exhausted with like trying to like make all these posts and promote all these things and do all that sort of stuff. So I've just kind of found like, hey, that's okay. That's okay for me. And
It is
maybe
okay.
maybe in the future I'll do more of that. But right now my focus has been more on this podcast, connecting with people and doing that stuff. So
Absolutely.
so I think that's you brought up a good point. It's just kind of like, oh, this doesn't feel like something that I love doing. It's not bringing me a lot of life and a lot of joy. So kind of pivoting and doing what works
Yeah,
for you.
absolutely. And that's okay. We're going to make mistakes when we start out with a private practice and,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
recognizing that, but then, how can I find something that works better for me and gets the results that I want?
Yeah. So when was that sort of moment where you felt like, okay, this is where I know where I'm going. This is picking up some momentum and I kind of know, yeah, I know the things I need to do to kind of build this thing. When was that kind of moment for you?
Well, once I was in the agency work for, like I said, a few years, I was trying to build my practice part time and doing it really slow and taking my time. And it was just this one day, I don't know if it was divine intervention, but I just had this moment of, I got all these referrals in one day and I was so excited. I was like, I'm gonna quit the agency. It just
Wow.
was like that was like a lightning bolt. Like
Yeah.
you could like I can do this, that I am setting up, all these clients and having success and the referrals, they just started to keep coming in and
Yeah.
that was the moment I was like, I'm gonna do this and take a step forward and, talk to my husband, got his support, and I just
Hmm.
took that leap.
Yeah. Where were those referrals coming from? Was it really like a mix of places, or was there like one specific?
I I joined a consultation group, which was really wise to do too, because I remember going there and they're all talking about cases. I'm like, I don't have any referrals. I have no
Mm,
clients when I first started with that, like a couple years before, and And then they, would we refer to each other? And that's how I started realizing, oh, the importance of connecting with other therapists in the
Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
And I think that's how it really got the ball rolling. And I rented space from a place that they had a referral line, and they were so amazing and helped refer to me because they would help therapists that are just starting out. So
Wow.
God bless them, they
Yeah.
really helped me so much.
Wow. Okay. Wow. That's really cool. Yeah. Connection and consultation.
Unusual places sometimes, you just never know.
Yeah. 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 And so okay, so you end up going full time into private practice at that point when you kind of had that moment.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what happened from there? Like what challenges did you kind of face, now that you've kind of
It
you
was
set sail and you're kind of out in the open waters? Like what
exactly.
challenges did you face at that
Then
point?
you lose clients and then you're in the sea, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, my biggest challenge is adapting to the changes in business because there would be moments that, oh, I'm not getting as many referrals now, and then
Yeah.
kind of a little bit panicky and you lose people, right? The clients can come and go at times, and I think managing that has
Yeah.
been very difficult. And
And what kind of helped you manage that, do you think?
working through my own anxiety with
Yeah.
that. Because this year I had a little down in May and June, but I was able to ride it a little more. So taking care of myself. I know you talk about self-care, and that's been essential for me because I feel like I've changed myself in my life by using yoga every day, in the morning. And just to give you an example of how much it regulates me, I didn't yesterday. Yesterday was Sunday. We had to go grocery shopping in the morning. We had other things going on, and I was just so irritable. Just like, what is wrong with me? Oh, I didn't do my
Didn't
yoga in the
Yeah.
morning because I like to do a little meditation, read if I can. I don't
Yeah.
always get to all three, but if I can just and I'm introverted, so I like a little my husband, "Just go away. I just need my
Yeah.
space and quiet
Yeah.
time." And if I don't have that, then it really impacts my mood. So that
Yeah.
really helps me to get regulated and stay there.
Yeah. Oh, you're speaking my language now because I'm an introvert and I love my morning routine and
Yes.
I'm struggling right now to be honest because our son started a new school and he goes to school an hour earlier than his previous school, and so my time is so limited in the morning, and I'm like, if I wake up super early, I'm going to be super exhausted. I'm not going to enjoy this quiet time that I
That's
have.
it.
So it's kind of finding new ways for me to get that self-care
Yes.
in,
Yeah.
but I love having it in the morning.
Me too.
But
It sets the tone, I think, for the day.
yeah, absolutely. And so it sounds like you've done some work to kind of work through those changing in business, those seasons and stuff like that. Did you start? Is that where you kind of found yoga and sort of this holistic
Yes.
approach to things? You start integrating that into your work.
Absolutely. And I wrote a book for therapists, Self Care for the Counselor. So it integrates holistic modalities and different ways that therapists can take care of their self care. Because I realized once I started to go with, I was like, I'm doing pretty good with this self care. And I keep hearing from colleagues how they struggle with that and they're having a difficult time. So I thought this would be perfect to get that out there. And I really had a lot of fun writing that book too. I just, for me, I love learning more about holistic. So I got to research and learn some more
Yeah.
ways to build routines in my day. And that's kind of how I started with that too, with the morning routine and figuring out ways to best take care of myself, to build my inner resource and resiliency, and to help therapists as well.
Yeah. That's awesome. And how did you bring that into your how you market your practice? If you kind of were making that shift into like including these holistic modalities, what did that look like for your website or how you spoke about
Yeah.
your business, stuff like that?
The first thing was moving towards calling myself a holistic therapist because I
Yeah.
didn't for a while. And even though
Wow.
I feel like I've always been, but then that gradual, I gotta own this. It's that
Yeah.
authenticity, just who am I, and bringing that vulnerability to clients as well. And as I've gone along with my website has changed because I now market that, and so a lot of clients come to me because that's what they want. They want to integrate more holistic. They've tried the traditional route, it's not working for them, or they have spiritual beliefs they want to bring into therapy. So we kind of work on that together. And you know what I did, Daniel, that helped so much was my About Me page.
Mhm.
And I put how I'm different from other therapists and really put it all out there. if you want to talk spirituality. So I put that out there. I put, if you're interested in integrating yoga into sessions, I'm here for you. And, really, then that's what clients will now say that
Wow.
get that referred to me. They'll just like, I saw your about me, and this just spoke to me. So I,
Wow.
I think that if there's one word of advice too to help people just starting out, really work on your about me page,
Yeah.
because I think that more you can be who you are and not just, oh, I graduated in 19 or 2000. Nobody cares.
Right.
Really, just
Right.
be you.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great tip. Like just an easy takeaway that people can go back, visit your about page, read it through in the lens of
Yes.
that
Mm.
ideal client and really put yourself authentically into that page. It sounds like that's what you did and that really paid off. That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. So that's been really amazing process just to witness that. And because
Yeah.
more I put myself into my webpage and marketing and who I am, the more that I'm connecting with clients who are interested in this approach. And
Yeah.
I find that they find more healing too, because they have
Yeah.
somebody who's open to it and not judging them.
Hmm. Yeah, and I know from the people that I consult with, and there's been a few who have done who do holistic modalities, but
Yes. Mm.
I wouldn't say we've worked with a lot of folks, but I know I've spoken to people who are kind of wanting to get into that more and add
Yes.
more of that, and they don't know fully how to like talk about that on their website. They don't know exactly
Yeah.
what to do,
Mm.
and I love the tip that you just gave about your about page, but I'm curious to hear more about what do you find your clients are looking for? Like, what are some of the specific
Yeah. Mm.
um, challenges or things that how they talk? I guess I'm kind of digging into like SEO here a little bit too. So we're like using
Yeah.
the right terms. Because I know that can get really confusing for folks when they're just like, I just don't know how to talk about this stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And the terms holistic counseling and holistic therapy, it's still not a huge SEO term, but
That's what I was
it's
wondering.
it's building, it's building, gradual. But holistic health, holistic healing, those are all much more searchable terms, but people are finding it. And honestly, I don't know how some people get to my Google page, but I've worked on my SEO for a while. And sometimes people are that they just see that and they resonate so much, or they hear about me right from other clients. I think that's the other piece is this is not your traditional psychotherapy. This is not
Yeah.
CBT. And a lot of them have done the traditional approach. And I get this all the time. I have a therapist who barely talks and doesn't say much, and they just that's not for them anymore, or they've been CBT to death and right traditional talk therapy, they're just not getting what they need anymore. Maybe it helped for some for
Yeah.
a while, but then they want something different
Hmm.
is
Yeah.
what that really is.
Yeah. And I love that because you are it's pretty straightforward to explain like this is how this is different from talk therapy because you're really incorporating all these
Yes.
different modalities and things that you do.
And they like that I provide hands-on tools as well. So I'll teach them, for example, like a breath work practice. We'll do it together. And then that's their homework to start practicing that. So a lot of people that I see, they want these hands on things to practice to be able to not just talk about changing thoughts. Okay, what
Yeah.
can we do with the physical body or
Yeah.
spiritual practice that they use, and
Hmm.
integrate that?
Yeah. I love it. Well, are there any other tips or just lessons you've learned about marketing a holistic practice that you'd love to leave the listeners with?
I think the about me is the number one.
Yeah.
I've really have grown into that. But I also figure out ways that you stand out. One thing that I do with my clients that's unusual too is I have a YouTube channel that I'm not trying to promote as just a regular YouTube channel. This is for clients and the other therapists I work with where I will teach them a breath work or movement practice and put it on there and give them the link so they
Yeah.
can practice on their own.
I love that. Yeah. Because that
Yes.
gives them a resource that they can
Yep.
take. Yeah.
Because they forget, right? We do this breath or I do a short, yoga practice. And they're like, wait, what do I do? When do I breathe? So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have it on there, and then they can
Hmm.
practice some other mindfulness or meditation strategies through the video and
Yeah.
practice on their own. So I figure out ways that you stand out. What do you offer them? And just be you on the website too with promotion. You
Yeah.
can use holistic modalities. This is the other piece that I hear a lot from therapists. They're, like you said, thinking about it, not sure, can we do this? This is within our scope of practice, our scope of competence. It's just getting the training in these modalities that is so important, and being able to do it ethically and safely with clients is the other piece. It is possible.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. Well, I do love that you're using YouTube and giving people resources to take with them. I think that that's also one thing that I talk a lot about with in our SEO course, and also with our website clients, is like I want people to see like your website is a resource for uh, not just potential clients. Like, yes, you're using it to get clients, people to your door, new leads, but it can be a resource for your current clients. And a lot of times there's just a
Absolutely.
great overlap, because if you're creating, whether that's like you videos or articles, putting like breathing exercises on your
The
website, stuff.
blog, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, blog, like you're and you're doing that for your current clients, like, well, those are your ideal clients if those are the ones you love to work with. So more people will find that in the future, and you'll be bringing in more of those ideal clients. And so I think that that's just a great approach, and just a healthy way to think about your website, as it's
I,
not just this brochure. It can be super helpful for those
yeah.
current clients and potential
It
clients. So I
just
love that.
brings to the word integrative, right?
Right.
Because it's integrating the whole practice with the client, so they
Yeah.
can use that as a resource in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Awesome. Well, I thank you so much for being on the podcast. It was great to just learn a little bit more
Yeah.
about what you do. And
Thanks for having
um,
me.
yeah, can you tell folks? So, what's the
Sure.
website that they can go and check out that about page? Where can they find that?
And then go to www.pathtohopecounseling. In my podcast, I just want to recommend a self care, if that's okay. One of my
Yeah,
episodes,
yeah,
self care strategies for mental health therapists, episode 138. I think you'll really like that. It's holistic counseling podcast, and I'm sure Daniel put that in the show
yep,
notes as
yep.
well.
I just made note of that. We'll put that in the show notes. And you also have some free resources that go along with your podcast, right? I think there was an
Yes, so I
email
have a
course.
nine. Yep, I have a 9-part free email course, how to build confidence as a holistic therapist. So you'll get 9 different emails once a week, and that also adds you to my email list for upcoming events and other things that I will be putting out into the world.
Awesome.
And you got the
What?
link for that too, I think.
Yes. You said putting out into the world. Do you have anything in the works?
Like I said, right now I'm working on a course for therapists on integrating yoga into clinical sessions,
Cool.
and I'm going to be doing a pilot soon. And I also am building a workbook. I'm hoping to get that done. I keep trying, Daniel, to get this done. Almost there.
Got a lot
A
going on.
workbook companion guide to my book. So it's self care for the counselor workbook. So be looking for that. And
Awesome.
my book is available on Amazon as well.
Awesome. Well, you've got a lot of
Yeah.
great resources, it sounds like, and we'll link all that stuff up in the show notes for this episode so people can find
Awesome.
you. Thanks so much for being on,
Thank
Chris.
you.
Appreciate it.